okay, so wild card weekend was indeed wild, and there are statistics to prove that. So, Nick, get this. There were 12 fourth quarter lead changes in wild card weekend. 12. To give you some perspective on that, that's already the most in the NFL playoffs, period, not just week one. That's already the most in a single year in the NFL playoffs ever. Formerly, it was 10 throughout the entire playoffs, so all the way through the Super Bowl. Formerly, it was 10 fourth quarter lead changes. There were 12 in the first weekend. And there were 4 of the 6 games. There were 4 comeback wins. There were 4 comeback wins, right, in the final quarter. So the Rams, the Bears, the Niners, and the Bills had comeback wins in the final 3 minutes of the game. So that's 4 different games in the final 3 minutes. There was a comeback to win the game, 4 of 6. And that's included in the 12 fourth quarter lead changes. So we knew it's kind of it's symbolic of the entire season because the season had a crazy amount of parity. We entered the playoffs thinking, wow, there's no clear favorite here, even though I believe the Seahawks were the betting favorite, given they're the 1 seed and they're at home. They were the betting favorite when the playoffs started to win the Super Bowl. It wasn't like minus 150. It was like plus 500, right? In the past, when you have a really good Chiefs team with Patrick Mahomes, you're going to see stuff closer to even money or even minus 150 or something. Not even close this year. There was no clear favorite. And so we sort of expected like wildcard weekend could be pretty dang good. And I think divisional weekend is going to be good this weekend too. And that's exactly what happened. There was a lot of, and some of them weren't predictable, right? Like the Rams in Carolina, Matt Stafford overcame a hand injury in the game. He was unstoppable in the fourth quarter. And it looked doubtful at times. Like it looked like, oh boy, are the Rams, like some people feel like the Super Bowl favorite in their mind. Are the Rams going to go out to Carolina and lose again because they lost there earlier this season? Matt Stafford in the fourth quarter was 12 of 15, 143 passing yards, and 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, right? So Matt Stafford, this blows my mind. He was an all-pro this year for the first time in his career. That's crazy. Like, it's hard to be an all-pro. That's different from being a Pro Bowler, right?
Yeah.
All-pro is a different story.
Pro
right?
Bowl is
So,
not the same. Yeah, Pro Bowl is very different.
I've never been an all-pro, and I know, Nick, you haven't either, but that one is more coveted than going to the Pro Bowl. You can be an all-pro, you're like, damn, that's impressive.
Yeah, it's like a first-team All-American.
Right.
Like, there's one.
He's also the MVP favorite, and he got it done.
Yeah.
In the fourth quarter, when it matters the most, 12 of 15, 43 yards, 2 touchdowns. Wild. Bears game. We're going to get a little deeper into some of these as we go. Bears-Packers was insane. 31-27. I mean, when the Bears were down 21-3, Nick and I were texting like, this feels over. But I still, and I remember saying to you, I'm like, with everything the Bears have done this year with regard to coming back and making things interesting, why would we not believe they're going to do it again? Now, I didn't think they were going to win the game when they were down 21-3. But I also refused to accept that this wasn't at least going to get interesting down the stretch. And that's exactly what happened. They overcame a 21-3 deficit to win the game. That's the largest deficit that's been overcome in the playoffs since the Falcons lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl when they were up 28-3. Right. So 21-3 that's big. That's
and LaFleur was there for both.
He was. Yeah, he was on that Falcon staff with Shanahan and those guys. The Bears beat the Packers in a playoff game for the first time since 1941. And there's obviously, at least on the Bears side, I don't know, rivalries are funny. Sometimes one team cares more about it than the other one. There's some bad blood there, at least with Ben Johnson, and he used that stuff to motivate his guys. And I want to jump in with you shortly on the Bears in the locker room after the game, which I thought was really cool.
Dude, I got a lot of thoughts on that matchup just from playing for the Bears.
I mean, the handshake after the game where Ben Johnson runs out and basically does a flyby and gives Matt LaFleur a handshake and keeps going. And you go back to the beginning of the season, and it felt like it was tongue-in-cheek, but in his introductory press conference, he said, this is Ben Johnson of the Bears, said, I look forward to beating Matt LaFleur twice a year. When they split in the regular season, you're like, okay, he's not going to beat him twice. But apparently what Ben meant is I'm going to beat him once in the playoffs, and that'll be the second win. So he did beat him twice this year, and he beat him with the one that matters the most. Another highlight of the weekend, Josh Allen, man. And if I ever express any uncertainty about the Bills, it's got nothing to do with Josh Allen. I'm still not totally convinced they're a contender. They're a contender. I shouldn't say that. I'm not totally convinced that we really have a good chance of seeing this team in the Super Bowl. But Josh Allen finished 28 of 35, 273 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he took at least three brutal hits in the game. Hits that probably knock out some other quarterbacks. And that dude just continues to stand in there and make plays. He is banged up. His knee hurts. His hand hurts. I mean, he is banged up and just continues to make plays. And later in this show, we're going to get to moments. Nick and I have identified 3 pretty awesome moments of the weekend, and Josh Allen in one of his throws is one of them. When you got that dude, and that game kind of felt like whoever had the ball last, and I know Jacksonville technically had it last, but there wasn't much time left. You got the sense that whoever had it last with at least 2 minutes left was going to win the game, because like the other teams were just struggling to stop each other, right? But I almost feel for Liam Cohen in Jacksonville. Unbelievable year, right? They've gotten over the hump, so to speak. Incredible year. And then you enter the playoffs, and then this is what you're told. Hey, by the way, you get to face Josh Allen in the first round of the playoffs.
Hey, did you see?
That sucks.
That made me think, and it was one of the coolest things of the weekend, and that was really neat. Just humanity at its best. Reporters are always asking the tough questions, and Liam Cohen's up there. You can tell he's just distraught, just defeated. And there was a reporter that just basically applauded the work he's done and uplifted him. And I thought she said some of the most kind words that honestly, I've been in a lot of press conferences, done a lot of interviews. That was one of the most unique, heartfelt situations I've ever seen, and something that I know it surprised him, but what a great example of a human being seeing the big picture, seeing the perspective, and seeing that he was hurting and like how much he cares for that city and that team and that organization. And she just applauds him in a really tough time to uplift him. I thought that was one of the coolest moments. We're going to talk about, at the end, we'll go through the 3 moments on the field, but I thought that was one of the coolest moments of the weekend when she just uplifted Liam Cohen and applauded him for his work. And I guarantee you that is a moment he'll never forget. And
I'm actually trying to find it.
Yeah, you're trying to find it. If you're watching the YouTube, we're trying to find it, because if you haven't seen it, you can probably just type in like uplifting reporter talking to Liam Cohen, and you could tell he's surprised, because most of the time, I remember when I was playing in Philly, you're going to get some tough questions, and you're going to try to give them some information because they're trying to do their job. And then you go to other markets, even like Kansas City, St. Louis, you're not getting many tough questions. And I was in Jacksonville as well, where, the questions weren't as difficult as like the Northeast questions. But yeah, go find that clip.
I got it right here.
All right.
I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it with the audio because I'm with you. I think this is
everyone really listen to this. This is powerful.
Jacksonville Free Press News. I just want to tell you, congratulations on your success, young man.
Thank
you. Hold your head up, all right? You guys have had a most magnificent season.
Thank you.
You did a great job out there today.
Appreciate
so you just hold your head up, okay?
Thank
and
you,
ladies
ma'am.
and gentlemen, Duval, you the one, all
Thank
right?
you,
You keep it going. We got another season, okay?
I appreciate
Take care and much continued success to you and the entire team.
Thank you.
I mean, that's so cool. She just wanted to applaud him. She didn't want to ask him a tough question in a tough time, like how did this happen, or what was the issue? Man,
sometimes you forget, like these beat reporters locally, like they're also fans of the team they covered. They're hard on the teams, and they want to get questions answered. They want to ask the tough questions. But sometimes, and this is very rare, and by the way, some people didn't like this. They thought, you're not doing your job. Put him on the spot. Ask him the tough. No, like that was a really cool moment. You can tell, and I love the way Liam responded too. Right, like found a way to smile during this tough moment and acknowledge, like, man, I really appreciate that, right? And I thought I felt the same way without even seeing anybody's reaction to it. Watching it or seeing it live, I'm like, that is really cool stuff right there. Sports is supposed to bring people together, right? And that's what it did there in Jacksonville. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'll say just from, being in a locker room and, being a quarterback I've got to experience mountaintop experiences, and I've had some really tough experiences where, I have to do media after wins and after losses. You're doing media. And I remember, every time I would do an interview, I'd just be like, hey, I'd always say a prayer, God, I just pray that I glorify you with my words and my actions when I go out there and speak, because it's hard to really impact people in a locker room when you're winning all the time and you're doing, people want to watch you. You have to have a mountaintop experience to where people want to know what you have to say, but it's in those moments that are the toughest that people's ears perk up a little more, because everyone can relate to a tough situation in life, on the field, at work, with family. Everyone can relate to that. there's not many people out there that can relate to being a head coach of a franchise that is in the playoffs, in the NFL, leading a team, and he's in his 30s. I mean, he's a young guy as well. I mean, he's like, he's like my age, and he's leading the Jacksonville Jaguars, and he's doing an outstanding job, and he's impacting those men. I'd always look after those tough losses. The true testament to a head coach is how he handles those losses. I've been in there where coach just gets in there and just, there's not much to say, guys. Just get back to work. There's not much to say. And I'm like, oh man, but the coaches like him that I guarantee you, and I haven't looked at his post-game locker room press conference or just in the locker room, but I guarantee you that's a guy that gets in there, that puts his arms around the guys, finds something motivational to, impact those men in the locker room to allow them to grow to where I think Jacksonville will be stronger next year because of this loss and because of Liam Cohen, because of the reporter asking that question, uplifting him in that tough time. I mean, that was really, really special. And the thing that people got to realize is he's going to get asked the tough questions. He's going to get abundant of that. Most of them will be the difficult questions. Very seldom, if ever, do you get that moment. I know throughout my career, I don't even know if I ever had that moment. I worked with some amazing reporters that I thought were very respectful, but I never remember that. So I thought that was really cool. I'm glad everyone could listen to that. And then my challenge for everyone today is if you run across someone, just try to be a little uplifting. Just one positive comment to someone today will maybe change their day. So she gave us a great example of that.
Another highlight, or I should say low light of the weekend, but notable, is Justin Herbert. Their offensive line, obviously, both tackles, if you go back to the beginning of the season with Rashawn Slater getting hurt in training camp and then Joe Alt being out, offensive line just wasn't enough. Obviously, they missed their tackles big time, but even the interior guys was not enough. And Herbert was pummeled over the course of the game. And the Patriots defense showed really well in this game. It was very impressive. It actually made me feel even better about this team moving forward because I really like Drake May. It almost feels like for the Chargers, the season is like for Herbert specifically, the season is thankfully over, right? They were banged up a lot this year at other positions too, but that offensive line just simply was not enough for him. That brings Herbert's playoff record to 0-3. He's had 3 playoff appearances, 0-3. In 2022, they had the wild card loss to Jacksonville. They had a 27-0 collapse where Jacksonville came back and beat them. In 2024, last year, they lost to Houston. He had 4 interceptions. And then this one against the Patriots where they scored 3 points. Really tough, right? It's hard to know what's next for the Chargers. Obviously, Jim Harbaugh is, without question, their head coach. Jesse Minter is a head coaching candidate elsewhere. He's getting interviews. He's done a nice job this year. They held the Patriots to 16 points. What's going to happen with Greg Roman, their offensive coordinator? He and Jim Harbaugh have been together off and on for a long time. And generally, Greg Roman is highly thought of, but this was a rough year. And I get if you have guys hurt up front, it makes it really difficult. But there might be some changes on that staff, not only defensively because Jesse may leave, but also, Jim Harbaugh may shake things up a bit offensively too, because the guys that were in there were just, they just didn't have answers. They were getting beat competitively at the point of attack, and they were also getting beat by scheme and confusion up front and all that. And Herbert just takes too many hits. And when you have a guy of this caliber, now granted, he's yet to prove anything in the playoffs, but we know that Herbert is very talented. You got to find ways to protect him. Otherwise, things go south really, really fast. And I have to believe with Jim Harbaugh and management that is the priority of the offseason, is pretty much exclusively on not only getting Rashawn Slater and Joe Alt healthy, but making sure the other parts of that offensive line are where they need to be from a coaching standpoint, strategy, scheme, all that stuff, and getting things right. Because the last thing you want to do is see Justin Herbert and a talent like this perform like this in the playoffs. It's troubling. In the past, some of it's been on him, obviously, but this year you felt like a lot of it was almost out of his control. He's a tough-ass dude, and he stood in there as much as he possibly could, but ultimately it was just too much as the season wound down.
The key to their success is their O-line and their backups, their depth on the O-line. That's the GM's job to go out there and get. And obviously they had some injuries, but that's where you have depth, trade deadlines, get someone, things like offensive line coach. You get Justin Herbert and O-line. He can take you all the way. He stood in there. He's so tough. He's taking all his hits. But if you give him an O-line, man, the sky's the limit. Without an O-line, I don't care who you have at quarterback, you're not going to win the Super Bowl if you don't have an O-line. The year we won it in 17-18, the key to our offense was our dynamic O-line. And I know that. I knew that every time I stepped in the huddle, man, I got these guys protecting me. I just got to do my job. I don't have to do anything special. I just got to do my job. And it gives you that confidence that they're going to do their job. They're going to make the right calls. They're going to hold up in protection. They're going to open up the run lanes. They're going to execute. And it's very difficult to win a Super Bowl without an elite O-line and an elite D-line. You need those two things. I mean, I look at Howie Roseman a lot. I mean, we talked a lot yesterday about the Eagles. It was an Eagles podcast yesterday because there's a lot of people that want to hear our reactions with the Philadelphia Eagles. Howie Roseman's done a great job with that roster and continuously building the O-line and the D-line. That is the foundation of a team. As you start there, and then you obviously got to have the other pieces, but you got those two pieces, you're probably going to be a successful team. And when those start evaporating, your rush defense goes down when your D-line's not good, and your quarterback hits and your pressure rate goes up when your O-line's not good. So the Chargers going into this offseason, the priority, get him an O-line and get him some depth if this happens at O-line. Get him a veteran back there that, isn't going to start but can, step in if your left tackle or your right tackle goes down. Get one of those, great swing tackles. One of my good buddies, Josh Wells, I was with him for a short time in Jacksonville, and then he was released my first training camp. He was sort of that sixth man on the O-line. Well, he went to Tampa Bay and did a great job in Tampa Bay. He had some injuries, but he won a Super Bowl there, and he was a really important part of the depth on that O-line. When there was injuries, he stepped in, did a great job, and when they needed an extra lineman out there, he was that guy. So you got to have that to have success.